Starting the stream just to let you know.
Are
Okay.
you guys listening to him?
No, what?
No, I can't. I don't have headphones.
Okay, I'll get you headphones, but I'm starting the stream just to let you know.
He's gonna start the stream. So
I don't have headphones.
I got you,
They're right
Javier.
there. That's not mine. They're my feet.
Those
Well,
are
don't lie.
Beats by Dre.
Are those newer beats? Because they look like bigger and more. There's some kind of new tool, like there's some new hot.
Oh, the computer. I'll get you in a second, okay?
Yeah, I just got Rachel the Apple ones, the Apple
I want those.
AirPods Max or whatever. Oh,
Yep.
yeah, they're big.
They're big and
She
they're
loves
I
them.
have a big thing because those
Yep.
little fucking
Yeah.
pods are
I got some Bose ones that I really like. It's amazing. Like when you flip on the noise canceling versus not, it's like, how does this even work? But it does.
Yeah, Rachel, she had me try on the ones they worked. We had a bunch of like Rachel, Errol, Erica screaming kids were running around. Come on. You can only hear one or two of them. I didn't know those were just cheaters.
Yeah, I mean,
What
Just
he's wearing
look
right
like regular
now?
glasses.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I didn't.
You didn't know that?
I
thought
just
they
so
were-
when
Well,
I
I probably
had-
didn't care enough to think about it.
When I had cataract surgery, it made my regular vision 20/20.
we are so old. You read this.
Oh, yeah, no.
You're like
It's wrong about aging. I'm going to do a whole episode on aging. Well, let me tell you about my cataract surgery.
I'm sorry, it's not funny.
I know.
It's just you were saying it, it's like,
I mean, I'll have I was very young for cataract surgery. Everyone was like, yeah, I had a fast-growing cataract that develops in people with extreme
Everybody
nearsightedness.
post it to where you post
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I'm not
Okay, hold
posting
on.
shit.
Watch your language.
I'm gonna.
First of all, I'm not on X anymore, so I don't. So
Post it on Blue Sky,
Blue Sky.
or whatever it is that you're doing.
is the link live? What?
Must be. Where's my Facebook? I'm just kidding. No, I just think it's funny.
Especially the face.
When I was having cataract surgery. Ah!
Well, let me post it to Facebook.
Face page. It's the my face.
What is that picture?
Oh,
Oh, it's
you
me.
can hear. We can. Okay, I'm supposed to post this to what?
Wait a minute.
I'll post it to fucking Blue Sky.
I got a question. I can't post it from Facebook.
Why?
Because where are you posting it to on Facebook? Because we got hacked.
Oh, that's right.
Speaking of age, I can't do the Facebook.
I know. That's what we'll talk about. We'll talk
So
about
what we did last time.
wrong about aging.
Don't you
Wrong about
remember?
aging. We'll just talk about like
Don't you
what we
remember?
got. We got
You're gonna
hacked.
talk about your cheaters. You're going to talk about passwords.
So where are you posting this to, Gabe?
I'm posting it to Blue Sky.
I saw it on. You take the link from YouTube,
YouTube.
and then you post it to
Facebook.
Amy Koch has
It's
Facebook.
on YouTube and MCN6.
Not on our
Facebook.
Facebook anymore.
Huh?
Not on our
But it can
Facebook
be on
anymore.
Amy Koch's Facebook.
Well, I sent Javier the stuff to like recover it or whatever, but it wouldn't let me. So, but that was late
Javier.
at night and it was probably forgotten.
oh, so it's gone.
It's gone. R.I.p.
Yeah,
Do you want to send it to us? Can I recover it?
Then I could do
you
it.
had a good run.
So
Why
now,
don't you, well, do you want to send
You know
it
what?
to me,
let's
Gabe, and
just
I'll
be
try it
honest.
I mean, if
You
you
can't even be mad about
if
it. It's
you
just
go to
it's just
MCN6.
that's just what's gonna happen.
out? Okay.
yeah, and then you can share it from that one. Same thing, and that's like 5,000 people too. So
Yeah,
whatever. But yeah,
Why
with
not?
YouTube, thriving.
it's fine.
Well, the both of you go. Well, that's.
I'm like, I'm like, you send me the stuff, and I'm like, I am not about to like get into fights with Meta over our Facebook page.
I don't think it'd be a fight. You just had to send an email. Okay. I mean, I'd love to impersonate you. I just need to get more info or something. Maybe I'll like do it with you on the phone or
Really,
something.
like,
that's-
there's
that's a
like
lifelong
how
dream.
long you've known
Okay.
me, and you
Can we
can't
start?
impersonate
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Let's just start.
This is really good.
I know. I'm surprised our other things weren't hacked since we shared our passwords last
Support
time.
for Wrong About Everything comes from Minnesota's credit unions. Credit unions are locally based, member-owned financial cooperatives that return earnings to members through higher savings rates, lower loan rates, and reduced fees. Visit mncun.org for more information.
everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Wrong About Everything podcast. I am GOP strategist and spring chicken compared to some, Brian McDaniel.
I'm former Republican Senate Majority Leader Amy Koch.
I am Democratic strategist and the Puerto Rican heat, Javier Murillo.
And I am Allison Babyface Nessie because I'm so young.
Yep. And we are
Wrong about everything.
What the hell is that about?
We're having some senior
She's
moments
just
here.
taking a shot.
Yeah, she's just being.
Oh, it's ageism.
she's being.
It's just
It's just ageism.
Wow,
being
we're going to be talking
being
about
a
that on
jerk.
a special episode podcast coming up.
I mean,
Yeah,
yes,
February.
we're 35 now.
What are you? Tell us about this special podcast coming up.
We're going to be doing a what? Wrong about aging?
I didn't know we were announcing it.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
we're not?
Yeah, no.
I don't know. Is it secret?
Well, I, think
I
it's
didn't know
just-
we
I
had
think
this
it's just
gig.
Not, it's just not 100% solidified, but looks like we're going to be doing. There is a group who is hiring us to come in and speak to their the people that work with this group, and we're going to do a live broadcast there, and we're going to post it. And if you have an organization that would like us to come and talk about like a specific topic,
Yeah. We could be
evidently,
wrong about that as well.
We'll be wrong about that as well. Yeah. So
We're wrong about whatever you want.
more details to come.
Yeah.
But anyway, welcome to the podcast here at the Minnesota Credit Union Network studios, deep within the recesses of MBC Studios in Northeast Minneapolis. We'd like to thank our fabulous producer, Gabe Noah,
That's Gabe.
here at NBC. We want to direct you to our website.
Wow.
Yeah, no, going gangbusters so far.
Wow, jeez.
www.wrongaboutEverything-podcast.com. And hopefully you're watching us on YouTube. If not, please go to our YouTube channel and like and subscribe. We're trying to build that up, so we would appreciate that very much. And as always, this segment is brought to you by Momentum Advocacy. And by always, I mean
What?
now.
When did that happen?
Day
What?
3.
Day 3.
Day 3.
Are you guys putting some money in the pot, or is this just like
Sweat equity.
Is this
the hell?
an in-kind contribution?
this has
you know what?
now become like the like a lobbyist podcast? The hell?
No, we emailed you about it.
Yeah, no, sure, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, we can
yeah.
literally say anything.
Yeah.
This was
Yeah.
literally
We emailed you
while
about
this was
this,
when
and you-
while I thought we were all on hiatus, and it turned out only
We
I was
emailed
on
you about
hiatus.
that.
It's actually turning into a gaslighting podcast. We told you about that.
We emailed it.
Yeah.
You responded.
I
Yeah.
didn't know. So yeah, momentum advocacy. Which do you know that everyone is talking about how you guys stole the logo from Minnesota something?
You have to know about
MnDOT
something to
or
steal
something?
It, I mean, it is it's an M. There's only so many ways to do an M. It is not 100% dissimilar, but
Yeah.
it is
Which one is it? Minnesota? Is it MMB or?
I think that's just the Minnesota.
The state of Minnesota
yeah.
logo has a similar vibe, but it is not the same. There's a
we looked
lovely
at it.
local designer that provided us with
Yeah.
some options,
Yeah.
some more phallic than others.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
was
There was a
an
couple.
excellent, excellent.
This was the best
option.
among the non-phallic ones.
Yeah,
My-
originally we all really liked the
How do you make an M
And then we're
phallic?
like, wait a minute.
Oh, it was a
Oh,
Capitol
it's a
building.
Capitol building.
It was a Capitol building.
We had to send it.
With an
It was my
M.
favorite. I sent it to people saying, "Does this look like a penis?" 100%. Yep. Yep.
I just
yep.
sent to somebody and said, "What does this look like?" And they said, "I was like, oh, we can't."
The Capitol building. Oh, usually looks like a boob.
No,
No,
But
Well, let me.
not this one.
not the way we made it.
Nope. Nope.
okay then.
So happy to support local designers
Yeah.
Yeah.
in this.
If you get into a copyright dispute, maybe you should contact Bradshaw and Bryan.
Wait,
Oh,
I
no, I
think
can
I
take it,
should be on your payroll if this is what we're doing now.
Deal.
Yeah. Put me on the payroll.
You are.
You put everyone else on the
You
damn
are. We
payroll.
sent- We sent you the
we sent you the paperwork.
It's in the email.
Yeah.
As long as I'm getting a cut of the business.
As far as you know, you are.
Yeah.
Bradshaw and Bryan. Their entire
I'm
team
going
of
to tell John Stiles to follow up on this.
Okay.
Yeah. we know he reads his email. Their entire team of attorneys and staff is dedicated to providing the legal advice you need, combined with the service and personal attention you deserve. If you have questions about how they can assist you with a personal injury, wrongful death, criminal defense, or not reading your email matter, please do not hesitate to contact them. Consultations are free. Please contact them at 800-770-7008 or at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
That's not a crime to not read your email. It just happens.
Negligence.
No.
Could be.
I don't know. Ask Hillary.
Wow. Wow. That's from the fellow Democrat, Allison Nessie. Wow.
She's
All right.
still bitter.
Yeah, here we go.
All right. Well, in an extreme shift of tone, this was a very hard week.
Yeah.
I purposely separated the next three things we're going to talk about because they transcend everything political. They're all on the Democrat side, but that doesn't matter. These are human stories. And so in the last, since we'd had our last show, former President Jimmy Carter passed away at 100 years old. Former State Representative Mary Murphy, who is retired now, but only recently retired, she passed away on Christmas Day. And then just last Friday, Senator Kerry Dietzich passed away at the age of 62 from cancer. Now, I know that some of you were much closer to these people than I was. So why don't we start with Senator Dietzich? And I'm sure, Allison, you might want to say something about your thoughts on her.
Yeah.
Senator.
I'm still really sad about it, and I know a lot of people are grieving because, unfortunately, when it feels like when people pass, their relationships all kind of come to light, and you see how amazing and deeply connected people were. And like Senator Dietzich, very, very quietly, frankly, when I was part of the government relations team at the city of Minneapolis for a few years, it's our main role is to work very closely with the Minneapolis legislative delegation, and Senator Dietzich, from day one, was always, anything that the city was working on, she was working on it hand in hand. If there was a problem, she was going to solve it. I was just speaking with who many people who listen to this podcast probably know, Gene Ranieri. On my way over here earlier, he and Senator Dietzich were very close, and he reminded me of a time that there was kind of 2014, 2015, a bunch of students were whose phones were being stolen on the University of Minnesota campus, and they're being sold abroad internationally, which Senator Dietzich was like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do in the legislature to solve this international crime issue? But they got to it, and it turned out that they were being sold in a vending machine at the Harmar Mall, and between the MPD and the Roseville Police, they were able to stop what turned out to be the largest cell phone scheme in the United States. And that's just who Senator Dietzich was. She heard a problem, and she was going to solve it regardless of how big it was. She's also personally very important to me. Admittedly, I'm kind of an introvert, and lobbying requires a skill set that's a bit opposite of that. But she herself is incredibly introverted, and one of the first times I did an event with her, I emailed her thank you and just how incredible of a job she did, and she immediately responded and said, "Are you sure?" Asking, am I sure that she did a great job? And it just showed me that, even the person that I think is the most brilliant and amazing senator has doubts about herself as well, too. And she would always encourage me about kind of imposter syndrome, but I would also tell her right back at you. So I am not looking forward to going to the Capitol without her in it. It's going to be really hard, and I'm going to miss her a lot. And I don't know a single person, though, that doesn't feel the same way.
Just say that when she became majority leader under the trifecta, I think in part because she was such a behind the scenes kind of person and not a self promoter. There were doubts. Some people had doubts about how will she be able to keep people together, and they passed a mountain of legislation with a 1-vote majority, and she kept everyone together and did just a phenomenal job. And it's really tragic. Do you the thing that is because now there's a special in that
Yes.
that was called like pretty like immediately, and like the filing was yesterday or the day
The
before.
31st.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And was there any like I hadn't really thought of it, and I guess I just would have assumed that she thought, or her people around her thought that she was not that
So-
ill, or,
Right, no,
or that it was
so
not.
definitely, I think she was pretty quiet about that, and even maybe in her she herself knew. So, well, it's a couple things. So, Kerry was elected in 2012, and so as a result of actually when the Republicans took control of the majority, then it was Poggemiller, Senator Larry Poggemiller was a senator from the area. He was the majority leader prior to me, and he stepped down to become the OHE, the Office of Higher Ed, not whatever it is, Commissioner, Executive Director, whatever the title is for that position. And Kerry was elected, and in that special. And it was, first of all, it was a very, I remember the juxtaposition of Poggemiller, who was a real like rock'em sock'em, like overt person, obviously a strong leader in that caucus. He was the majority leader for I think 4 years. Compared to now, we got this Senator Dietzig that was just much more reserved and quiet, and we were all trying to kind of figure out who she was and what she was going to be about, compared to like Poggemiller, who had been such larger than life. And so it was delightful for me to see sort of her carry on over the last 12 years, and see what she did. I also, of course, she holds a special heart for me, because as the first and only Senate Majority Leader for over a decade, it was a very important big
Woman
deal for
Senate
me.
Majority.
Woman Majority Leader. Sorry, I was the first and only for 11 years then, and it was like I don't know. It was just it was so lovely to be able to, I think I tweeted like, I finally get to remove the only. And it was so nice to have our club of two. And to see her do that in such a like quiet leadership way, right? So she came back to a position that her previous counterpart had held, but she came back in a very different way. But yes, I think that maybe either everything I was hearing from people in the Senate is that they were making plans for lunches.
She had bills. I mean, we were working on bills. Together, emailing right before Christmas. So it was. I don't feel that it felt imminent, but
cancer is a
cancer.
Bitch. It was ovarian cancer. And
Yeah.
It can be pernicious and it can move quickly. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
so that's a big loss.
Yeah.
Additionally, former state representative Mary Murphy, who had been, I think, when she left the legislature, was she the longest serving?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she was the
Yes.
longest serving. She was out of the legislature. She had a series of strokes, ultimately passing away on Christmas Day, and that was something that was very sad to hear. She was someone who, for my whole career up until the last couple of years, she was very much a fixture. And held several very important chairmanships over her time. And then,
And always like happy and cheerful. You could always count on Representative Murphy to just be in a good mood almost all the time.
All the time. She just enjoyed people. She enjoyed, that's why she was such a great bonding chair, because she loved touring every single community across Minnesota to hear about what their needs are and how, the state can help communities access, get clean water, build a hospital, kind of just these basic community needs and services. And she was a retired high school teacher, and she approached legislating and mentoring now chairs, but younger members. She would always assign homework. She would give out awards in committee for to the entire bonding committee. She'd give out superlative awards. I mean, she was just a character, and she was so wonderful. She was so wonderful. And it's such another loss.
And then at 100 years of age, former President Jimmy Carter, who had been ill for quite some time. So this was something that was not necessarily a surprise, but it's an opportunity to kind of like go over a life well lived. I mean, I think that he is somebody who, when he left office, he in 1980, was probably thought of as a pretty ineffective president, but somebody who absolutely was looked on as one of our greatest ex-presidents, and he used the rest of his very long life to help other people, very, very much tied to Habitat for Humanity and many other humanitarian causes.
He created it.
Yeah, he created it.
He created it.
He's somebody who was a one-term president, so sometimes doesn't get a lot of attention. But he's somebody who had a very interesting background. There was between he and Gerald Ford. There was like, I remember seeing part of a documentary where Coke and Pepsi were involved in it because Coke was in Atlanta, so they were very much supportive of Jimmy Carter. So Pepsi threw their weight behind the Republican. He supposedly saw UFOs. He did that.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So with all the drone stuff going on now, I'm sure that he would have had a lot of opinions. But he's somebody who was a very, very interesting person. I'm old enough that I can remember waiting in line for gas and stuff during his tumultuous presidency.
Something else to talk about at your roundabout
He
age.
was certainly like in his after presidency.
Yeah.
Very different from his presidency, right? His presidency was malaise and gas prices and hostages, and just a very difficult 4 years. But it was his sort of after presidency and Habitats for Humanity and the work that he did, the philanthropic work and the good that he did.
And he did election. He did election observing across the world. Was often sought as a negotiator in difficult situations. Abroad was seen as an honest broker.
Anwar Sadat and Menachem Begin, all kinds of stuff he did.
I voted for him in my mock election in second grade in Mainz, Germany. There was our class, Mr. Jaffe's class. I remember it's all army brats, right? So 2 kids in the class voted for Jimmy Carter, and I was one of them, and everyone else voted for Gerald Ford. And I cannot for the life of me remember why. But I think I remember hearing Peanut Farmer. And I thought, oh, that's kind of cool.
I love peanut butter.
I know, but that's my very first time I voted on anything having to do with U.S. politics was for Jimmy Carter in my second grade mock election.
That's funny. I was just watching an interview with Anna Gasteyer from Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
Who was apparently
good friends with Amy.
Great friends
Carter.
with
Amy Carter. She played
violin for Menachem
I saw that
Begin.
same thing.
And
Yes,
she
it
had
was
an eye
amazing.
patch.
Yeah.
She had an iPad.
She said that Amy was a big nerd. She was a big nerd. They were violinists, and they were very good friends. And she would always go to Camp David. And she said she had no idea. They didn't really know. As you
Right,
can
she was
imagine,
there when the Peace Accords
when
were
the Peace
happening.
Accords were going
She
down.
played for them, yeah.
And she played for them. And it was just like her friend's house. And then she would come in and Jimmy Carter would be having a beer. And
Yeah, she talked about one night she walked. It was the premiere of Saturday Night Live, and there was all this buzz about this new show, this new thing, this experiment, and it was kind of the first time that anyone had made fun of the news.
Yeah.
That was
And
kind
Dan
of a
Aykroyd
new
played-
concept. Yeah.
Right? I think she said it was Dan
and she
Aykroyd that
has
played
this
Jim
vision
Carter.
of Jimmy Carter sitting in a recliner in a V-neck T-shirt, having a beer, watching them making fun of him and laughing.
Wow.
And how just powerful and impactful that was. And I love that story.
One of the best jokes on The Simpsons was inspired by him, where they were at a zoo, and they have those signs that say an arrow pointing this way, arrow pointing that way, and one of the arrows pointed towards the Habitat for Huge Manatees, which was a pretty good joke. So anyway, that was it was a big week of loss. Not just for the Minnesota DFL, but for the United States of America. Any closing words on those we have
And they
Those we have lost.
just say, as we transition to talking about the politics of the week, that that Carrie Zietzik passing away and the special election now puts the Senate. We talked last time, I think,
Yeah.
about how the House was kind of a mess.
Yeah, this
and
week,
who the majority would be, and now the Senate, like how it organizes itself next week when they.
Right. So every 2 years, even though the Senate was not up for re-election, every 2 years it's a new legislature, and so the Senate also has to re-elect leadership.
So they
Now-
don't. That's interesting that even though they have 4-year terms, they don't. They
Every
don't
2
keep
years.
a
Well,
4-year.
it's the same in DC. Every 2 years, every biennial is a new Congress, and it is the
But I
same.
thought they had different permanent rules.
No, not for this. So every 2 years you have to like re-elect leadership, which in this case would not normally be an issue, except that, as we all remember, the Senate is 34-33, or I'm sorry, was, and it is currently now the makeup is 33-33
with
without a
34
special
Democrats,
election.
33
Yes.
Republicans.
Yeah.
So with the loss of Senator Dietzick, a Democrat, the number is now 33-33. And again, there is no, for both of these houses, there is no tiebreaker, right? Somebody said to me, well, the lieutenant governor is the convener of the Senate, so now the Democrats still have a majority. But that's not true. The
here.
lieutenant
I
governor
wish.
is not voting.
Yeah,
There's no voting power.
it's
She
not
does
like in the-
convene
Yeah.
and always gavels in the Senate until they form up.
So it's not like U.S. Senate where like a tie is broken by the vice
Vice
president.
And
Not at all.
some states do have that, but Minnesota does
Minnesota
not.
doesn't.
I wish we did.
So and this isn't like anybody, but the problem will be is that okay, so like Senate president is a vote, right? So typically what happens is the majority puts up their person and the minority puts up their person, the loyal opposition, and they vote and everybody knows who's going to win because the majority is going to win. It's not that there isn't a vote, and it isn't that there is two people up. There always is two people up. It's just that the majority always wins. And in this case, there is going to be no majority until that special is decided, which means in theory you could just continue to vote and vote and vote on a tie until something is decided.
Do you have any intel on what's going to happen?
Well, no, and it's difficult too if you think about because otherwise you're asking like Republicans to vote, for
Right.
the Democrats for leadership, which it just wouldn't happen, right? It doesn't happen.
You're just going to wait till someone goes to the bathroom and they're like, call the vote
Okay,
now.
call the vote. Hey, call the vote. And then also let's remember that, because we've been focusing
Senator,
so
you have
much
a
on
phone
the
call.
House. We've been focusing on the House because it was less stable than the Senate. But also remember, we have the Woodbury Senator Mitchell, who's up on felony burglary charges, and she goes to court the first week. So actually, in theory, if she's in court and they're on the floor, Republicans will have the majority.
I mean, they allow for remote voting.
Yeah, but if she's literally in
I-
court,
yeah, I
we're
know,
just going to have a
Well,
Zoom set up. while
Excuse
she's
me,
sitting
Your
in-
Honor. 1 second.
1 second.
Well,
Okay, can we talk about how she should have stepped down last summer?
outside.
Can we talk about that? She should have stepped down and had a special during the normal election.
well, and what's
Everyone
interesting-
should have stepped down and had an election. Like it's like
admit though.
on the
I'm
right.
saying everyone, like her, like I mean, I wish Carrie Zietzik had done it last summer when because it's just everything's a freaking mess now.
It is a real.
Well,
is real.
on the
What
run.
a
And
good
by the way,
time for a
even
lobbyist.
Woodbury is the Carrie Dietzig's seat is strongly Democrat. It's
Yeah.
Minneapolis. It's going to go Democrat. Frankly, even I think the Woodbury seat
That's
would go
pretty
Democrat.
safe.
It's been
Yeah.
quite a safe district. A special election there maybe used to be Republican, but it's really swung left. So right, I mean, in the meantime, it's just not known.
On the run sheet that I'm pretty
Okay,
sure
sorry.
nobody
I was gonna say it's a really good segue to something.
the run sheet that nobody read. One of the interesting things about Senator Mitchell's trial is that her attorney. The prosecuting attorney wants to make sure that there are no references to
her being a
Senator
senator.
Mitchell being a senator, and this is the part that
Why is this?
I'm just gonna question the legal strategy here, because he feels the prosecutor feels that her being an elected official will garner sympathy.
I think it's
No.
the
And I think
opposite.
it's the
Opposite.
exact
Are we
opposite.
all-
I think it's the exact
We are
opposite.
We are all
Total wrong move.
What I-
Like
when
if I were
saw-
him, I'd be
Yeah.
calling her senator every
I'd
month.
be like
Yes.
So-
chair,
So
vice
at that
chair.
point, Senator, did you think it was that a good
Right.
idea then?
Yeah.
Like,
No,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
I don't understand it at
No.
all. It would not garner sympathy. It would make people more furious. Like, you know better.
I'm sure she is signed on to like criminal justice bills or something. Like he could, you would
Right.
ask about like,
Absolutely.
what are your views at the Capitol on law and order?
Yeah, completely agree with that.
I mean, are they going to talk
Breaking
about
and
her
You're the
being?
only
Breaking
lawyer
and
here,
entry?
but that is a terrible
Yeah,
legal
no,
strategy.
I
think.
don't understand. I mean, they're not going to discuss ever that she was in the military. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that would garner sympathy in theory, but I just don't understand the logic. I mean, has he ever met anybody in politics? I mean,
They're very disliked.
They're
Next to
yeah.
attorneys, they're the most disliked.
And usually, the Venn diagram's pretty,
Yeah, no,
pretty
it
strong.
crosses over a lot.
well, she's an attorney for now, for a while.
Oh, that's right. She's even an attorney.
She's an attorney.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for the time being.
Senator, like what's
Senator
National
Mitchell
Guardswoman Esquire.
And she did step down. She did step down from the military. That has happened in the.
Has it happened?
I
She
think, yeah.
she did because she posted about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know
Okay,
if that
I'm
has
sure
been-
she was going to be.
I don't know. I don't know if
Okay.
that has been
That's
come
fine.
to its
She resigned.
conclusion, but because there was all this talk.
That's
Well,
like
Senator
Curtis
Mitchell
Johnson
stepped down.
resigned his seat. ...
from the military.
And
But
then Curtis Johnson resigned.
You can't resign a seat you don't have, by the way, and you didn't have the seat.
so Curtis Johnson, who was elected as a Democrat in the Roseville seat, 40B, 40B, not Cardi B, 40B. And then ultimately, court determined that he did not satisfy the state of Minnesota's residency requirements. So he has resigned the seat that he is barred from accepting. And I'm going to ask the Democrats this, and not in a gotcha, but just 'cause I honestly don't understand. So because of this stepping down by Curtis Johnson. However, Governor Walz, who calls for a special session, this was before actually Senator Dietzich passed away too. He called the special election for January 28th. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know if Gabe is going to put us up there, but if you look at Minnesota Statute 204D.19, which governs special elections when held, subdivision 4 says, if a vacancy results from a successful election contest, the governor shall issue 22 days after the first day of the legislative session a writ calling for a special election. Now, that's not being followed.
Not even.
And I'm not 100% sure why not. Because if you're trying to prevent the Republicans from getting a Republican speaker and organizing as the majority, well, that will have already happened by January 28th. So I don't 100% understand why you would want to, just violate the plain language of a statute to save yourself a week or 2 weeks or whatever it might be. So is there something I'm just missing as far as
No.
strategy?
Because if a vacancy results from a successful election contest,
Yeah.
which this was a suit brought by the opponent, the Republican opponent who lost the seat,
Paul Wickstrom.
Paul, that said he does not live in the district. There was a judge's
Is that
decision.
maybe
that he did
is
not.
that why they had him
No, it has to be.
publicly announce that he's not appealing, so that then they could say that
But,
it's
but there's
that it
still
didn't.
there's still a House person there. Jamie Becker Finn is elected until the new new legislature is sworn in. There is not a vacancy in the seat.
So it just seems odd to
She did
me.
not step down. She's still receiving pay. She's still receiving.
I mean, have it happen.
I guess-
Have it happen on the 13th.
I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, no, I just don't understand it.
I can also read that.
Maybe we could ask Senator Mitchell.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like this
She's
is
an
one.
attorney.
This is one where I honestly was kind of waiting for someone to pounce, saying, "Well, you idiot, this is why." And no, it just says what it says. Anyway,
No, you underestimate my care on this subject.
no,
I
no.
don't
It
give
does
a-
say
You
if the
shouldn't care because the
resolution-
only thing that matters is preventing the Republicans from getting the majority, and this doesn't prevent that.
Okay,
Well,
it says
but-
unless the House passes a
Look,
resolution, which
everything
it
they're
has not done.
everything they're thinking about right now is stupid. I mean,
Okay.
everything I've heard that they are considering is ridiculous.
You know what, Javier? This is what made you a darling of Alpha,
Alpha
News.
News.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Can you? What? Can we just say
Yeah, we
for a
have to talk
second?
about this a little bit.
Like,
Let's talk about it a little bit.
so
Because I thought it was amazing.
someone sent me a headline that from Alpha News.
I think I did, didn't I?
Yeah, that said what it,
Now your
prominent
friends are not
DFL
reading Alpha News.
well, prominent DFL or DFL or what-
prominent.
or something like wait, find the headline.
I'll find it.
Like
How come it's not in the run sheet?
it was about our
So
last.
much in the run sheet and not
Not the last
It was about our
podcast.
last episode when we talked about
Yeah.
the reporting that had happened about
DFL Insider blasts reports placing blame on Lieutenant Governor for rift between her and Walls.
But then
So
there's
I saw that headline. And I was like, "Oh, I wonder who said that." I literally was like, "Oh." So then I clicked. I'm like, "Oh."
Oh yeah, because I clicked on it and thought, uh-oh, and then I'm like, don't mention the podcast, don't mention the podcast.
Oh, it's all about
And then I'm like, don't mention me, don't mention me. Okay, that's okay. I just made a statement.
Why would you
So-
maybe someone listen to the podcast?
It was.
Well,
Listen,
you and I have been in
all
the Alpha
press
News
is good
before,
press.
Javier.
Yes, that is correct.
I have a little
yes.
PTSD.
all press is good press.
Yeah,
Is it?
that's true. No,
Yeah.
right. We were the last time we were in Alpha News was because Karen Rotz got me for my birthday a T-shirt that she made that said "I'm with racist," pointing at
Me.
to the left, to the left, and
at
so we
his
took a picture.
birthday party.
And it was it was clearly a joke. And
yeah.
so we posted a picture. I was giving him
Yeah.
a kiss on his cheek,
Yeah.
and then you know
What did-
right wingers had their panties up in a bunch because he was allowing himself to be called a racist. I'm like, if you listen to this show, first of all, there'd be no doubt. Second.
Republicans,
the whole-
don't worry. I'm plenty racist. I'm sorry, I am. Ask Javier.
I,
Yeah.
I have a T-shirt
I
that
was
says
like,
it.
Yeah.
you call a spade a spade.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I wouldn't say that though.
Yeah, no. See, that's super racist.
Team.
Yeah.
Team.
I'm not that racist.
Anyway,
But
the
anyway-
point was Alpha News covered.
I have tried to find
Anyway,
them.
the point is,
Javier,
the
and
only
Brian.
news coverage we got from or that we've gotten about our podcast in a long time is from Alpha News, which was surprising.
Literally, we were on NPR.
Oh, we were.
And we were
That's
at
true.
the end of the
That's
year
true. Oh, that's
NPR
right.
special.
Lovely.
You,
Story.
that was just you and me, though. That was just you and me.
I was
they don't
unavailable.
publish racists.
Well, the Emmys do.
Oh, Jesus.
No,
Did they mention the podcast?
But what's interesting about it is, as you know, they say don't read the comments, but I kind of had to, and they were largely fine. But some of them were like attacking Javier for defending the lieutenant governor, and my thought was, so you guys think Walls is telling the truth on this? You guys are
big
defending Tim
people
Walls?
Reading Alpha News.
Yeah, you guys didn't think that one all the way through.
Yeah.
Upside down world.
Yeah.
You should
No.
say they're both lying.
Yeah. No, I was.
They're not even governor and lieutenant governor. They're making it all up.
Yeah. Well, so I'm the DFL insider because
I love that you went, oh, juicy. Who was?
What's interesting? Here's what's interesting.
who's saying that?
Is that the DFL is also like, oh, really?
Yeah. No, no one agrees.
It's
with that.
2016 already?
Yeah. No. Exactly. Exactly.
Anyway.
So naughty. Okay.
Anyway.
Enough about
so
us.
that was
Let's talk
interesting.
about us.
Yeah.
So going to national news, there was some question when I was putting the run sheet together. Actually, after that about whether Mike Johnson was going to be elected speaker. I was doing Tom Hauser's show today, and then right before we went on, I saw that Mike Johnson did not win the speakership on the first ballot, but I think he did get it on the second.
No, there wasn't
Oh,
a second
there
ballot.
wasn't?
They just kept the vote open,
Oh,
and so
okay.
then
changed.
two people had voted no. Three people had voted no. Two changed their votes. A total of 9. There were others who had not voted when they
Yeah.
were called. So that number 9 is actually really important because under the new permanent rules that they're putting together, 9 is the number of people that it takes to call for a vote to remove the speaker. So the fact that there were 9 people who were either voting present or not, or just taking a walk, plus the people voted no. So they whatever they
So they're kind of keeping their powder dry
Yeah, they're
in
keeping their
case
powder
they wanna
dry.
chase.
Yeah, and I think it was persuasive to them because all they would have done was like delay the certification of Donald Trump's victory on Monday, which was supposed to happen. So I mean, it's just another sign that like this is going to be a bumpy.
Well, it's going to be tough, right? These majorities are so close. Like,
Yeah.
so there's, we touched on even the Minnesota House, but this is the U.S. House is what, 3 votes? It's incredibly close on the numbers as well. And when you're like that, it's just everybody has tremendous power when you're that close. Now in Minnesota, these are like literal ties, so everybody is the deciding factor. But even when it's 2 or 3 votes, I mean, it's so easy to lose 2 or 3 folks to like bind together and get something. I saw it as also just a bit of a negotiation. If you hold out on the speaker vote, you can negotiate some things
Right.
and get some things done. And that's how I perceived it. I actually didn't think he was going to lose today. I figured that people were just sort of, using the close majority to pick up some,
Right.
some wins or
Yeah.
some.
Yeah, I mean,
asks or-
it'll be, and because Trump wants them to get rid of the debt ceiling now, and so that's
That's
where you
gonna be
have real
touchy.
hardliners
I
that
agree.
who are not going to want to do that.
I
So
agree. Well, people that have been serving for decades running against raising the debt ceiling.
right, but
Yeah.
but the party used to also be for free trade and all kinds of things.
Yeah, that's
that,
true.
Like,
No, that's
people-
true.
like,
Things have really. Those
so-
are not the conservatives.
Popcorn?
I grew up with.
Hey, it's all about tariffs and foreign workers now.
Yeah, no. It's
What the world with the tariffs? They're not a good idea, people.
Well, sometimes, but usually not.
Tariffs, the H-1B visas, which now then Trump sided with
Elon Musk.
on,
Yeah.
Right.
which is wild. H-1B visas, which in the tech world keep people literally, like just chained to their desks because you.
But then
like
he's-
that's
but then
what
he
all the
came
people
back
who
and
stayed
kinda
at
said he
Twitter.
wasn't saying that, right?
The other people who stayed at Twitter were H-1B visa folks because like if you lose your job, you have a certain amount of time to get another job, or you
have to
have
go
to
back.
leave the country. So so it's sort of indentured servitude for them. So Elon's getting
you're
his
with-
indentured servants.
So you're with Trump on that?
I actually but I think H-1B visas are part of a comprehensive package like that. But I don't think that any parts of like reform it makes sense to do individually.
Yeah.
So like and the thing about that
So you
is
would
like
keep that.
as I've worked, as you guys know, worked on immigration
that's
for
what
a
I'm
very
asking.
very long time. That what it points to is how difficult it is going to be to get an actual immigration bill because the reason H-1B visas became an issue is you have the hard line, the hard right, racist right, saying, like
Foreign-
we got to get rid of foreign workers, and then the tech bros literally saying American workers are stupid. Like Elon Musk retweeted someone who called American workers the R word. For
Resourceful,
no,
resilient,
no,
Really hardworking.
raconteurs. Now that's a deep cut. Remember we talked about that
Yes.
on the first podcast
vulnerable
ever.
adults they called them.
Oh no.
And he retweeted it and said, "Yep, this is all true." Like he's like so, and then Trump sided with them. The thing about that is that once you open the door on one industry getting H-1B visas, there's a whole slew of other industries that
absolutely.
depend on H-1B or H-2B because Donald Trump he said like, oh, we've used H-1B visas in his hotels. That's actually incorrect. The
would be
visas that is
H-2B.
H-2B,
H-2B,
which
yeah.
are more common, and that's for service sector. And then you're going to have
So was it
the
2B or not
agricultural
2B?
industry. You're going to have the agricultural industry. You're going to have like landscaping industry. You're going to have all these people saying like, oh wait, but not us. And a lot of them are also like big contributors to the Republican Party.
This is the
Four Seasons
complexity
landscape.
of immigration reform and why we continue to not. There just can't seem to be a deal cut, man, because
There was one in 2009 that that a combination of Republicans and people like Bernie
Was that a
Sanders
gang?
and others.
Was that one of the
gang-
gangs?
Yeah,
Gang of
it
Eight.
was like they sank it, and there was, and I remember at the time, like just feeling like I had this deep feeling that
Never
if
gonna
we
get there
don't if we don't get this done now, it's not going to happen.
Didn't they-
and there were
they
people
think
on
they-
our side who thought like that because the AFL-CIO came out against the bill because of the future flow. The question, immigration, there's always like, what do we do with the folks now?
Yes.
And then there's the question of future flow, and future flow splits labor. That is on future flow, like
Got
the
it.
unions like SEIU and service sector unions, we want a sane process, like for allowing people into the country. Right now, the U.S. gives 5,000 unskilled worker visas a year. 5,000. Think about that. And again, I will say this, my refrain, and I will be saying this a lot this year, for anyone listening who is opposed to illegal immigration, opposed to immigration, you should live by your values and boycott food. Because if you ate today, if you ate this week, if you ate at all, if you eat, you are touching you are benefiting from the labor of undocumented workers, because the entire industry, like in Minnesota and elsewhere, depends on undocumented labor. So it's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I love processed meat, so.
That was a random aside.
Hey, Hormel,
Spam.
Genio, like.
Do you guys
just-
represent spam?
No, but my great grandpa was the first pork provider to George Hormel in like 18.
She says the name right, so she
Yeah,
knows what she's
so
talking about.
If we're gonna be anti-spam,
I actually work on alternative proteins, so Brian McDaniel.
You're
works
representing like plant-based meats?
Yeah.
he does.
Plant-based proteins.
It's you know what? Because
God.
you know there's so
people.
many reasons.
You
Some
people.
people prefer like a vegan
or
protein
like
powder.
What
a sh-
people?
well,
What people
well, like
prefer
when I
that?
go to like if I
The
get an
gym,
ultimate
you want-
protein
you want your
at the Lifetime
protein shake?
Cafe.
Yeah.
Vegetarians.
Well,
No, it was just
I hear a lot
Minnesota
of those in the
farmers,
Republican Party.
Minnesota farmers, Minnesota crops, Minnesota consumers.
I'm all about it. It's
Cargill,
like, yeah, it's just-
Cargill, it's big. It's big here.
Soybean producers are big.
maybe you've heard of
alternative
Cargill, a little
proteins.
Yeah,
Minnesota
you ever heard of
company.
Cargill?
We emailed you about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you-
It's like our podcast now supports alternative meats. So,
Alternative proteins.
yeah, no.
You don't have to eat
I
it.
just think it's cute.
just have to
like
buy
you
it.
guys, like you make all this money off Democratic trifectas, and now you represent. It was one thing for you to represent homeless people. Now you're representing vegans.
No,
What is wrong?
necessarily.
What happened to you guys?
no, we don't represent vegans.
I don't know.
Just choice and consumer
Not
choice.
those guys.
It's just a competitive marketplace supporting our largest
Sorry, if
industry
I want,
of soybean farmers.
If I want a lot of options for farmers in Minnesota.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to these. God, we had a lot of shitty news this
Yeah,
week.
so-
Why
This
do
is
you
a
think Brian's going to stop
So
eating
there's
hamburgers? He's not.
Yeah. So the New Orleans New Year's Eve attack on Bourbon Street, which is just freaking awful, and at least 14 people are dead. The latest news today is they're saying that they believe that he acted alone and that there's no connection to the
Trump
separate
Tower?
the Trump Tower,
Yeah.
things, which I now believe was a suicide.
Because originally it seemed like
Well, because there
might-
were
I mean,
they were
weird
drawing
He
connections.
had
there were weird
planted-
connections.
Yeah, he had
but-
like planted
I think
things too.
the
that people were
connection
looking at.
the connection that we could draw is they are both former servicemen.
Yes.
And there is a mental health crisis in
Yes.
the veteran
Yes.
community.
Yes.
That
Yes. Yes.
that the VA has not been capable enough to really go. I mean, there's been a lot of resources put into it, but there's these men who were on 3, 4 tours to Afghanistan. Like when I think my dad went to Vietnam twice, got orders for a third time. It was scandalous. It was so scandalous. The Congressional Black Caucus investigated it. His orders got reversed because Latino black soldiers were going a third time, were being sent a third time. But now it's routinely you send soldiers to Iraq and Afghanistan on multiple tours.
and what they see, and also even like remember the whole hubbub over the burning garbage that was happening. That like and it took forever for Congress to
Yeah.
pass a bill banning this practice, which was so obviously putting chemical fumes like
I have-
right next to Army bases.
I have a friend who has suffered side effects from that very those toxic pits. That,
know,
they were burning everything in there. Yeah,
So a couple things with the VA because it makes me insane, right? Like, it's first of all, if I may suggest, is
well, the
largely
VA
run
is going to be
by
gotten rid of
soldiers,
by
right?
in the Doge.
Well, it's largely been run by soldiers. It needs to be run by like hospital administrators. Like that's a part of the
Medical
problem.
professionals.
Medical professionals need to be running the VA, not the military. Just because it's a veterans administration, we need to make sure that people that are running them are very steeped in knowledge about this. Our veterans deserve the best. And they never ever have been getting it, and everybody pays a lot of lip service and thanks their veterans on Memorial Day and thanks their veterans on Veterans Day. But again, like people that we elect do not do the things that are necessary. It takes forever, and it's largely because there's not big like constituent groups that are behind this. There's not, there's not a lot of like. There's not a lot of money that's involved with groups that are advocating for things. There's just soldiers that have come home after serving us and protecting us and doing everything that we ask of them, and that we do not take care of them. So you just hit like such
I like
Snap, yeah.
my father. It literally took him decades to get his full disability coverage, 100%. He now has Parkinson's disease as a result of Agent Orange exposure. I have a good friend who's
tour after tour he gave us.
Yeah, I have a good friend who is an Iraq War vet who is currently like his disability. He's appealing, and these appeals take up. My dad reminded me that when I was in college, I wrote his appeal. I remember spending all this time and like you have to basically put together a legal case, and these are veterans who are you don't have a lawyer doing it for you, or you do, and so you don't do it exactly right, and so they turn you down, and it's just it goes over and on and on and on. It's just
so that is the common thread, but there is no commonality to the intention of these
that's what they're saying
terrible
now.
horrific
They
acts.
treat it like my uncle went through a denial process that just almost broke him, and he did pass last year, but it took years for him to get his benefits, and he probably would still be with us.
And it adds to the stress, right?
Yep.
So
There's already this mentality about you don't whine. Like I remember a very dear friend of mine who is now recently finally getting the help he needs. But a few years ago, I worked on the Veterans Restorative Justice. So I was working with veterans to provide special avenues through the courts, because so often these people with no records, by the way, you can't get into the military with any kind of record, and then they come out and they have terrible records. Well, it is clearly a result of the mental anguish that they're going through. So it's working with Minnesota courts now. Every court can act as a veterans court and give special pathways to redemption. It's not easy. It's actually harder than anything that you've ever worked on in your life. But I worked on that, and I was working on it, and he mentioned, he goes, "Oh, well, those guys are kind of whiners." That's what he said to me. Well, of course, he was hiding terrible things that he was feeling, and that he was self-medicating and all of those things, and he's finally getting the help he needs. But there's also that whole like mentality about we can't talk about it, and we can't
Absolutely.
One thing we should say about the New York, Donald Trump
that
has
doesn't
said,
excuse, by the way, any of these horrific attacks.
of course, and but one thing about New Orleans terror attack is Donald Trump has said multiple times, and then Mike Johnson has gone on TV and backed him up and saying that this is a result of Biden's open border policy. It was there's so many things wrong. But
the FBI does say that he was 100% inspired by Islamic State.
Well, he also is an American
but it's a
citizen.
domestic
He was
terrorist.
born here.
He's a domestic terrorist.
100%.
It is. It is. There's a lot of bad information that came out. I mean, the FBI came out and said this wasn't a terror attack. That was wrong too. It shows how important it is to not immediately just go off half-cocked with the
For
first.
both sides.
Yes, for the first thing that you see.
We expect immediate information and then balk at mistakes.
Right. Yep.
Yep. So anyway, we'll keep an eye. It seemed extremely fishy that on the same day that there were these two attacks, it does appear as though they are not linked, and that's a good thing. But let's all just.
The other thing, we always politicize everything, right? If 14 people are dead, in New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just let's get to
Yeah.
let's get to
I
it.
gotta,
Let's figure out who's
I gotta
it.
say, like, I am trying to figure out for myself, and it's going to be interesting how to do this podcast because I'm trying to figure out for like a resolution for myself for the next 4 years is that like that reactivity that you're talking about with like everything being seen through the lens of politics and just paying attention to every last word that Donald Trump says and stuff. Like, I'm like, I cannot do that again.
Yeah.
Like, that is not something I can do.
No.
And so I'm literally trying, like, I my podcast feed is I was like, this is the feed of an insane person. Like, this is like, no one should listen to this much politics. That's insane. And so I'm like, deleting stuff and trying to find other things to listen to because there is this thing that happens in the culture these days where everything gets swept up into that vortex, and it's not healthy.
It isn't healthy. No, it's not healthy.
It's not.
healthy.
It's dangerous. In fact.
In 2016, the reason why I made the decision to start doing stand-up comedy was because, and this was before the actual election, but in the middle of all of
Was
the
it
stuff.
Trump?
Well, it was that politics.
God damn it, Trump.
Yeah, he inspired.
Thanks,
it all.
Trump.
But no, I needed something in my life that had nothing to do with politics. And you can do political jokes, and I do not very many, but that was why. Is
Not many
because
jokes.
it was.
Oh.
It was so pervasive that I was trying to sympathize with you and your feed, but
But it's true, right? May I suggest
shit.
Conan
Well-
O'Brien's podcast? I really enjoy Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend.
yeah.
I too need a friend.
Yeah, you do.
I like Joe Rogan and Conan O'Brien.
Oh yeah, Joe Rogan.
No, this is. I mean,
Politics
like
free.
because I kind of heard. I don't even remember how I heard that Trump was saying this is the open whatever policy and like I immediately I'm like, oh my God, that's so insane. But I also I'm like what I would have done in between 2016 and 2020 is like consume everything about that and be on Twitter and fight with people and and I just cannot.
I think the truck had been in Mexico and came over, but the guy wasn't in it. It was just
What do you mean the truck?
like the
Cyber.
it was because it was a
The
rental.
Tesla truck?
No, the one.
Oh,
that
the
they
other
used
one.
in
Okay.
New Orleans.
Oh.
Because they were both rented on that Turo. I think that they were able to trace that at some point the truck itself had been in Mexico.
The
but
truck is a Mexican?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that.
All of our cars are Mexican.
Not mine.
No, I to your point, Javier, like the problem too for me with Trump is like he'll say the conflicting things in the same sentence.
Right.
So we'll just go crazy trying to obsess over that, and
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm at either.
Let's go to plugs. What do people have? Amy?
Oh, okay. So you can check out. I did a recent interview with Channel 11, talking a little bit about what we were just covering, and about the Minnesota House and the Minnesota Senate. I will be doing a panel on the 9th on TRT World News if you're in London or in Turkey. And then, of course, I will be in Washington, D.C.
London
for
or Turkey?
for the inauguration, and I'll be doing live spots. You can watch this all over America and the world, Al Jazeera English. I'll be doing some live spots from the rooftop studio.
Al Jazeera, Amy.
That is not.
It's a thing. It's a thing now.
Oh, it is.
That's the thing you say.
I will try to watch from Mexico
You can. It's in any. Yep.
because here's my plug. I'm going to be in Mexico through the inauguration
We're going on hiatus.
because I can be.
No, there's no hiatus. We're not. There
I
is-
sent you an email about it.
No, you definitely didn't.
Yeah. No.
Kidding, kidding.
So in February, and no, I'm sorry. Yeah, at the end of February, I will be the first month this year that I host the Moth Story Slam.
Oh, what is the theme?
The theme is Love Hurts, as it always is in February. It'll be at the
that's
Parkway.
the one I should do.
Yeah, this is one you should do.
You have never done it?
Yeah. No, he's never done it, and I think you should try storytelling because I think he
think
he
so.
might
I
get more
agree,
laughs.
actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever been to one of the moths?
I've been to
Oh, okay. Because I love them.
Yeah, so that will be, and then I'll be hosting at the Fitzgerald in March, the
big one?
a Grand Slam, and then again in April at the Amsterdam. And that theme is green. But the Moth has 2 story slams a month. One at the Parkway, and one at the Amsterdam.
Are the hosts just you and Jason?
Me, Jason, and Miss Shannon.
Okay.
Out of the 3 we rotate. But yeah, so
Awesome.
come see us.
Cool.
Well, next weekend is the annual Youth in Government Conference at the
Yay!
Minneapolis
I love
Hilton,
yay.
where there will be hundreds and hundreds of youth ascending downtown Minneapolis and also the Capitol, and actually going and presenting, working on bills, presenting bills. There's Youth in Government. I did not have the opportunity to participate, and I felt like I had no idea what it was about until I got to the Capitol, and all these lobbyists were like, "Oh yeah, I came up through Youth in Government." And now that I've been able to participate as an adult, as a lobbyist specialist, I see why kids get kind of an upper hand in it, and it's such a great experience. So thank you to all the legislative staff who help facilitate it, because it is a huge undertaking and very exciting.
So Gabe says that Allison has a plug this week, so she is not a regular person anymore.
Oh,
Oh, it's true.
a week off of not new year, new me.
All right. Well, I have a couple as well. First of all, every Tuesday you can catch Amy and I on the Bob Sansevier show,
Nice.
the BS show. That's every Tuesday. And then on Saturday of this week, I will be speaking at a Majority in the Middle event at the Capitol. It is called Silly Question Saturday, I believe. Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah, silly question Saturday.
Silly Question Saturday. So thank you to podcast superfan Shannon Watson for asking me to do that. It'll be me, a couple other lobbyists, and some elected officials, and that'll be super fun. And then I will be on At Issue with Tom Hauser on KSTP on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. So catch me there. Spanks and thanks. Who wants to go first?
I can go first. So my, I guess this is Spank. Speaking, we were talking a little bit about the mess of in Washington, the Republicans. So, in Minnesota, Republicans elected a new chair, and it turns out that some people, like for the Action for Liberty people who had supported him, are now saying that they think that he was that the new chair was a mistake. And so, 2 news things that popped up today. One was that the new MNGOP leadership picked former chair Jennifer Carnahan and Action for Liberty reps Eric Mortensen and MAGA Jesse Smith to be on the VIP list for the upcoming Trump inauguration. They are, and Action for Liberty routinely sends out things like an email they sent out where they call Lisa DeMuth Lisa Kamala DeMuth, just because they're racist. And then
and misogynist.
and
They're both.
yeah.
I'm sure other ists too.
Yeah. And people are complaining that Jennifer DeJarnette, who is going to be the new executive director of the party, apparently, is now telling people that the campaign that Alex, how do you say his last name?
Plekish. Alex Plekish, the new GOP chair.
Plekish?
Plekish.
Plekish.
I think that's how I've always.
Sure.
The platform he ran on is not what they're going to do. So
Oh,
Yeah. Where do we get that from?
it just seems weird.
Okay.
And
I
my
what? Who did this? Like,
did
is
what?
that? Oh,
yeah.
okay.
yeah. So just stuff I found on the internet.
Okay. All right.
And my thank this week is so just as days after the House Ethics Committee released a report on Matt Gaetz, he made his debut as a television host on the One America News Network. And I'm going to thank him because please look this up. when I saw a clip, I thought like, oh, the new season of Drag Race started. Like, buddy, lay off the makeup or get a better makeup artist. Holy cow, he looks like Caitlyn Jenner. Like when before she transitioned, when like Bruce was just looking like odd.
Like Botox Bruce.
Yes, like that's what Matt Gaetz is looking like right now. So, congratulations on your new gig, but and thanks for supporting drag queens.
Who's next?
Go ahead.
I can go. My spank. The story came out kind of mid-December, but we didn't really talk about it. And it was, the headline was low income mothers lost tax refunds to tutoring companies using overseas instructors. And there was a tax credit, a really great tax credit passed in the tax bill in 2023 that would allow, based off income, parents to get a credit for tutoring or after school activities because so much of our tax code is through tax credits because it is an easier, we don't have enough money, general appropriations to do all the things. But there were some groups that came up kind of like immediately and started doing tutoring, giving kids or charging parents for laptops and then setting them in a room and having them speak to an instructor for 30 minutes who was allegedly in the Philippines and getting like $4 an hour. Anyways, it is not great at all. And we really need things like this. Families really severely need incentives like this and abilities to pay for it. And so it's just fairly challenging to see another very well-intentioned and good program. So I look forward to programs like this staying around, but just with a bit more a little more oversight and accountability into the way that they're formed. So that's my spank. But my thank is to President Carter in many of the memoriams and looking back at his legacy, which, is colored when he was in office, but something that he did right at the end, and he got it through Congress, and then Reagan undid it immediately, but it's the Mental Health Systems Act that was enacted, and just to think about what could have been if history had turned out differently. But the Mental Health Systems Act was the federal government, the idea that we could have community health clinics throughout service areas throughout the nation, and start to normalize people with severe mental illness living in community and having the actual supports and services that they needed, and having a federal system built around that. We have so many challenges that that lack the systems behind them, and he was, pretty innovative and progressive at that period of time. And it was one of those, wow, that would have been amazing, because we're still having the conversation in 2024 about building out a mental health, behavioral health system. And so much of Jimmy Carter's legacy, again, is like, oh, well, he was a challenging president, but great after presidency. But he also did some amazing things when he was in office, and that is one of them. So thank you, Jimmy Carter.
Amy?
All right. So my spank is for President Joe Biden. We have not talked about this much on the podcast, which drives Gabe insane. So I'm going to talk about it. It's the drone issue over New Jersey, and what are they and who are they? And do I think that there are some of these drone sightings that are planes that people mistake? Because there's been a lot of conversation about this. Yes. Do I think that there are people that are just joining in on the drone situation? Yes, I do. But I also think that there were many, many, many sightings that have nothing to do with what I just talked about, that there's been something going on, that people do, that the, not just elected officials, but like the folks that are tasked with keeping us safe have kind of said, we're not sure what these are. They've been very, very vague on any kind of details. In fact, when asked directly, they really say, well, we're not sure where they're coming from. We're not sure exactly who's flying them, but we believe them not to be a problem. And basically, Biden finally broke his silence and came out and said, "Yeah, I don't think they're anything. They just seem to be like people adding in," and that is just a very unacceptable answer for folks that have had great concerns, including, by the way, governors of the states where these things are flying over. Besides there being questions about who and what potential foreign countries, there's also just like they're flying over a lot of people's houses. There's privacy concerns, and this administration, starting at the top, seems to be not concerned at all with what's going on and offering zero answers. And seemingly, they say, yes, we're investigating, but seemingly unconcerned about this phenomenon.
They've had to shut down airports.
Right, and they're flying over like military facilities, sensitive sites, infrastructure. So I absolutely do not believe. I don't know what these are. There's a lot of conjecture. I believe, Gabe, do you think they're aliens? I'm not sure. But I
don't think he can talk. We have 4 mics.
Oh, we have
going.
4 mics. Dang it! Sorry, Gabe. Anyway, but I do think that they warrant more than just a passing. We think they're not a problem. We don't know what they are, but we don't think they're a problem. So President Biden is spanked, and then my thank goes out. This is going to be a very energy thank. So sorry, everybody. This is policy. My favorite issue is nuclear energy, and currently in the state of Minnesota, this has been one of my number one concerns is we have a ban on any kind of nuclear energy build in the state. In fact, we have the tightest ban arguably in the country. There's only a couple of states that do ban some kind of nuclear ban. And Minnesota's is definitely one of the absolute tightest, one, if not the tightest ban. The Minnesota Rural Electric Association, which is a large network of the RAs around the state that keep us in the country with electricity, came out with a statement because the NERC came out and said that Minnesota and Midwest states are in serious risk. The call for power because of data centers and the usage that we're doing means that we could have some very serious shortfalls because new generation that's being created. And by the way, I'm an above all person. I'm saying yes to renewables.
All of the above.
Sorry, I'm okay with green energy. I'm okay with gas. I'm good with all of them, including nuclear energy. And it's what's going to be needed to make sure that we have the energy that we need, or we are going to have some serious shortfalls. That's what NERC came out and said, and the REAs came out this week and said this is time to lift the moratorium. Nuclear energy has completely changed. There are small reactors. There's a lot of other options. There's a lot of very safe options, and nuclear energy is carbon-free, baseload energy. I'm going to keep saying it. I agree with the MREA, and I am grateful for the rural electric folks for coming out and with such a very strong statement on what really needs to happen around energy. Again, wind, solar, gas, coal, all of these things are not going to get us where we need to be. And if you all like keeping the lights on, you might want to start thinking about this. And part of that solution is nuclear.
Just reminded me, Puerto Rico was in a blackout for 2 days.
Awful. Because of the heat or because of the...
No, they privatized the electric to a company called Luma, which is based out in the United States, and they're just a shit show. They've been a shit show from the end. It's like my parents did not have electricity, or my parents or my sister
2 days.
For 2 days, which is like my dad's CPAP machine.
Right,
like,
right.
Just like their
think
thing.
about what is electric in our homes, folks. We cannot have it.
Nuts. Drives me nuts.
This is an easy solve, actually.
Sucks.
Yep. We need energy. We need more energy on the grid, and current generation is not keeping up. Let's build some nukes.
All right. Okay. Well, I will try to be brief. My first spank of President Joe Biden is coming from Joe Biden.
Jesus Christ,
last
he's
week.
out the door. He's like
Joe Biden.
Joe has senioritis. He doesn't give a shit. He's
Joe
like
Biden
drones. I don't care what those fucking drones are.
I can't see.
I hope they shoot you in the face. I don't care.
That's great,
Drones
Joe
can do
President.
that now.
Yeah.
Joe Biden regrets having pulled out of this year's presidential race and believes he would have defeated Donald Trump in last month's election, despite negative poll indications. If you need any more evidence on why he should have dropped out, is because
He's
He's so delusional that you're like, no, maybe you should have dropped out a year before, you Jackass.
He also says that he made a mistake in choosing Merrick Garland as Attorney General because he spent too much time aggressively prosecuting his son Hunter instead of going after Donald Trump. So,
Well, I mean, I agree with. I mean, not on the Hunter Biden part, on the
On the premise, on the-
Hunter Biden is like anyone else would not be investigated for this crime. Whatever.
Maybe
I don't care. I don't
Maybe
care.
not,
But I wouldn't have paired the two together. But he dragged his feet on like holding Trump accountable, and that would have the timeline would have been very different if he didn't do anything until the
so it's a
the
good thing Merrick
congressional
Garland
committee.
didn't get on that Supreme Court then, huh?
I was gonna say maybe he's still holding out. Maybe he's still got a spot.
All right, and my second spank is going to be more for Dr. Jill Biden.
Jesus.
So President Joe Biden and his family were given tens of thousands of dollars in gifts from foreign leaders in 2023, including an annual accounting blah, 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 blah. She received the single most expensive present, a $20,000 diamond from India's leader, 7.5 carat diamond.
Modi?
From, yes. And she also received a brooch valued at $14,000 from the Ukrainian ambassador, and a bracelet, brooch, and photograph album worth $4,500 from the president and first lady of Egypt, amongst many other things. So I just want to highlight that we've spent time on this podcast, and rightfully so, talking about the grift of some of our elected officials. And I just like pointing out that on their way out, the Bidens are distinguishing themselves quite well.
So what is happening with those gifts? Because because
think they could keep those
every
gifts,
president gets all kinds
Yeah.
of gifts.
Without question.
They usually go to the library.
They go to the Library of Congress.
Yeah.
So is she wearing and keeping that ring and stuff, or is are people just? This sounds like a news story about
Maybe they're
about just
hiding
the
their
fact that I mean, every president gets all this lavish stuff because other countries it's not banned, and they squirrel them away and they get donated to the Smithsonian.
I'll take the diamond.
Yeah.
I think the article says is that
Yeah.
they're giving them to Hunter, and Hunter is
What's
using
that
it to buy weed.
I
What does the
think
brooch
that story's
look
Like, tell me about this brooch.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I am GOP strategist and Twin City Sugar, Brian McDaniel.
I am former Republican Senate Majority Leader Amy Koch.
I am temporarily emigrating to Mexico. Javier Murillo.
And I am Allison, not a regular person, Nessie.
And we are
Wrong about everything.
Welcome to the club.
Take us away, Gabe.